Hi and welcome. I'm Lydia Keating here live today with Mitzi Unda. We're here at the John J. Lee Amphitheater where the Yale Bulldogs are hosting Brown Cornell, University of Pennsylvania at the Ivy League Gymnastics Classic. Today's events include bars, vault, and floor, and beam. Mitzi, what do you think about each of the teams going into this in the Ivy League Classic?
I think this is going to be a very exciting competition. All four Ivies have been preparing for this, and hopefully they are at their best today.
What teams are seeded for top performances here today?
Excuse me?
What teams are seeded for top performances here today?
I think all teams can do really well. I think Cornell has been scoring very high team scores, but anything can happen. Yale and Brown are not that much behind, so this is going to be a very exciting competition. We see Cornell right now on the beam.
And how's this routine going right now for this Cornell athlete?
She's looking very confident on the beam. It is always tough to start on such a hard event where you need a lot of focus.
Now, Kristen Cheleni is a senior from Riverview, Florida. She's had 3 very successful past seasons as a gymnast at Cornell, so she's definitely a team leader.
Yeah, and we can see her confidence. She's like smiling throughout the whole routine. She's done some hard skills, and we see her preparing for her dismount now. That was a very good routine, the landing with a step, but very good routine overall.
She seems very pleased with that performance.
Yeah, and you can see it and how her teammates are grading her.
Yeah, okay, so now we are turning to Brown.
Yeah.
On the vaults.
Yeah, we just saw Yurchenko full. It's one of the vaults that starts from a 10.0. Not all the girls start from 10.0 on vault, but that was a little tight, step to the side, but overall it was a good vault.
Now we're at the bars. We're looking at Casey Trainer, a senior at Yale, one of only 3 seniors on the Yale team.
Yeah, exactly. Casey has unfortunately been injured throughout her whole year career, but she has very good bars and very good beam, so we might see her in those 2 events. And we see her do a Maloney, one of those hard skills where you go from the low bar to the high bar. And now an overshoot to go from the high bar to the low bar. You are always required to do at least 1 change of bars. So we saw her there. And now her giant full to a dismount. Unfortunately, she didn't have a great beginning. She stopped after her first skill, but overall that was a very good routine.
Okay.
I don't know if this is Casey's first appearance on bars this year, because I know she's been dealing with an elbow injury, so that was like a great routine for her debut today.
Now we're looking at Brown. This Brown athlete is getting ready for a vault performance.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the judges to give her the go.
This is Julia Green. She is a sophomore, all around at Brown. Oh, this is not Julia Green.
And she is preparing for her vault. And we see her perform our Yurchenko full. That was a really good vault. Pretty high. Extended position and only a small hop for the landing. That will be a high score for Brown. And now we see Yupen on the floor. We can see how the college routines are more fun, usually with more popular songs, and we see her preparing for her tumbling pass. She just performed a 1.5 forward, and it was very nice, good landing and good position.
This is Nicole Swirl-Ballas, a sophomore from Westwood, Massachusetts. Do you think she is happy with that routine?
Yeah, we can see the excitement, and we can see how her teammates are also excited. And we are back on vault with Brown.
Now this is Julia Green.
And we see a Yurchenko full, very good position, good landing, a little hop at the end, but it's gonna be a very good score for Brown.
Julia is a sophomore from Exton, Pennsylvania. She did not compete last year in any meets, but it looks like she's having a strong performance today. Now we're back at Yale on bars.
I think we are waiting for the judges to give the last score for Yale. And now Megan Ryan is gonna go on the bars. She has been a very strong competitor on the bars. But now we are on beam with Cornell. Cornell has been very strong on the beam today. They have shown a lot of confidence. You can tell that they really want to be here. That was a great save.
Yeah.
It'll deduct some points for the wobbles, obviously, but a great save.
Good for her for saving that.
Yeah, and nice dismount. She stuck that landing, which is what you need. And then on bars, we have Megan Ryan right now. She's a junior, and she has been a very strong performer on the bars for Yale this year.
She's from Colorado Springs. Her personal best on the bars is a 9.750. So today could be the day that she beats that.
Yeah.
How do you think this is going so far?
It's really well. And that was a perfect landing, perfect dismount. She's very happy, and you can see that her teammates are really happy. Yale is having a great start on the bars. This is looking like a great day for them.
Now back at Penn, it's performing on floor.
That was a very good routine, and you can see the excitement of her teammates.
It's Nicole Swirl-Ballas. Back to Cornell. Performing on the balance beam.
Yeah, I think Cornell is having a very good day on the beam. It is, like I said, it's always hard to start on an event where you need to be calm and focused. Usually the beginning of the meet is like a lot of excitement, but they're performing really well. They are very confident, and this routine is no exception. She is like doing her skills with no wobbles.
This is Leanda Dudley. She's a sophomore at Cornell from Omaha, Nebraska. Dudley is a two-time winner of USAG Collegiate All-American as a rookie, earning first-team accolades in the all-around and second-team honors on the floor. So she is quite a decorated athlete for just a sophomore.
Yeah, and we can see her routine, throwing some hard skills and performing them very well. Now she's preparing for her dismount. And that was a very nice dismount, stop landing. And you can see how her teammates are really excited for that routine. Cornell is having a great day as well. This is going to be a very exciting meeting.
back to pen on floor.
Yeah, we can see how these routines are very different from club gymnastics. They are more fun, more expressive, and the gymnasts get to smile, get to have fun, and also throw some hard skills. We are seeing her prepare for her tumbling pass now.
This is Caroline Moore. She's a sophomore from St. Louis. In 2016, Caroline competed in 5 meets on vault and on beam. She does not have a personal collegiate best on floor, so perhaps Moore is a little out of her comfort zone right here, but she seems to be doing a great job.
Yeah, you can see floor is a very tough event. You have to be smiling even though you're tumbling and you're really tired. She's doing a great job. And it seems like she's having a lot of fun too.
Oh yeah, you can see the smile on her face. Now we're looking at Caitlin Green, a sophomore in Cornell, on the balance beam. As a freshman, she became the 5th Cornell gymnast to qualify for NCAA regionals, finishing 23rd overall on the beam with a score of 9.775. So this is definitely Green's expertise.
And we're seeing that through her routine with very hard skills. That is a very hard dismount, a side aerial connected to a back full. And she performed it really well, a very nice landing, no steps. So that will be a high score for Cornell on the beam.
This is back to the Penn Quakers on floor. This is Alex Harkey. She's from Fort Montgomery, New York.
Yeah, and we can see her routine, how powerful and explosive she is. Usually that is one of the things you want to see on the floor, to see all the power to be able to do those tumbling passes. But also be graceful to do your dancing and your leaps. That was a very nice tumbling pass, a front full punch front top.
Hartke has a personal best on the floor of 9.825.
We'll see if she beats her personal best.
Yeah. Sometimes the excitement of such a big competition can really propel you, or in other cases it can hinder you.
Yeah, but it seems like today the gymnasts are taking the pressure really well and they're using it to do even better than usual.
Definitely, they're setting a strong tone for the beginning of this performance. We've seen great performances from really all 4 teams here today.
Yeah, exactly. This is gonna be a tough meet.
Yeah.
And I think that concluded the first rotation.
It went by quick. The stands are slowly becoming more and more filled. So it is an exciting day at the John J. Lee Amphitheater here in New Haven. It's a beautiful day out, one of the warmest days we've had so far.
Yeah, even though it's winter.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that in 5 to 10 years, maybe even sooner, we actually have a test for concussions, that we will know when someone is concussed and when they're still suffering the effects of a concussion.
We have a unique opportunity to lead really the world in identifying ways to fix concussion.
Just to really set the gold standard and to be a pioneer for this.
Hello, I'm Noah Finns. Thanks for tuning in to Inside Yale Athletics, sponsored by Under Armour. We're going to start this episode with the story of a Yale hockey player, John Hayden, who has his future all mapped out for him. But that's not keeping him from concentrating on the present.
He epitomizes what we want our players to be. I mean, he's the hardest working player we have. He leads by example. You know, he takes care of himself away from the ring, so he absolutely deserves all the success that he's earned.
John Hayden has come up the hockey ranks, considered one of the top young players in the country. In fact, midway through high school, he was invited to play with the U.S. developmental team in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Putting the USA jersey on every day was an honor, and competing in international events, competing against college teams as a senior in high school was incredible.
From there, he was drafted by the Chicago Blackhawks, but Hayden chose to go to college. And there was no doubt for him that college was a 4-year commitment. He says he was never tempted to leave school early for the pros, even though the Blackhawks still own the rights to sign him.
It wouldn't feel right to leave. It's such a special place, and pro hockey will always be there, and you can never get a year back at Yale.
You know, he loves it at Yale, he loves his teammates, he loves the environment here, and then also, let's be frank, it's a good business decision. I don't think he was ready, and he knew he wasn't ready, and there were more things he wanted to accomplish at the college level. So, you know, by all accounts, being here for 4 years and having this experience as our captain this year will make him a better pro.
And soon he'll be a pro. Hayden is having a great senior year and is a candidate for college hockey's highest individual honor, the Hobie Baker Award. The question in the pro hockey world is, where will he sign? The Blackhawks may own his NHL rights now, but soon after college, he'll be able to sign with any team.
To be honest, it's not something I think about too much. I obviously try to stay in the moment here. It's my last semester at Yale, and it's such a special place. So for me, it's about embracing the hockey life and obviously the incredible academic experience and the social life too.
And it's all made sweeter knowing he'll have lucrative employment opportunities when college is over.
Chicago drafted me. They showed that faith in me initially, and that's my dream, to play for the Chicago Blackhawks. I was born in Chicago, and I still have family there. It's a tremendous city. So I remember sitting at the NHL Combine, being in an interview with Chicago, and saying to myself, wow, it would be amazing to be drafted here, and I was. And I'm very fortunate for that and this opportunity, and they've done a great job of supporting me the last few years, and I'm excited to get my career going.
Whether it's in Chicago or another city, Hayden is closing in on his boyhood dream: to finish 4 years of college hockey at the highest level and then play in the NHL.
He's as good a person as he is a hockey player. I think his parents should be extremely proud of the young man that they've raised.
The Ivy League means extraordinary, a conference that stands alone as the purest form of student athlete, a conference focused to compete nationally and created to inspire globally. It's 8 schools combining Division I athletic excellence and academic prestige, and a community of greatness that inspires lifelong connections and successful leaders of tomorrow. Why not be extraordinary? It's the Ivy League.
The Palestra, the cathedral of college basketball, a legendary conference, and a historic event. Join us this March for the first ever Ivy League men's and women's basketball tournaments. Witness the ultimate back-to-back. March 11th and 12th. Unbelievable ending. At the Palestra.
What I don't know how many people realize is how successful and driven they are athletically, and how competitive they are on the playing field.
Unbelievable ending.
And how much their sport means to them.
Princeton is going to the NCAA tournament.
We have national champions, we have Olympians, we have individuals that go on to professional athletic opportunities.
The Yale Bulldogs are national champions.
And so the athletics part of what our student athletes are involved in is important. And it is important to them in balance with their academics and their experience as a student.
For the 15th time in their program history, and for the second consecutive year, they are your reigning national champions.
We're back here live at the John J. Lee Amphitheater. I'm Lydia Keating here with Mitzi Unda. It is the Ivy League Classic right now, hosted in New Haven, Connecticut. Today we are watching the Yale Bulldogs, the Penn Quakers, the Brown Bears, and Cornell Big Red. So far, after one rotation, Yale is in first place with a score of 48.875, followed by Brown with a score of 48.350, then Cornell with a score of 48.300, Penn with a score of 48.025. And Mitzi and I have been talking about this. This is going to be a very competitive meet. So far, all four teams have shown really strong performances. Right now, we're looking at the Penn Quakers on the vault. Here she goes.
And she does a Yurchenko layout. That vault will not start from a 10.0. It starts from a 9.7, but she had a great landing, so it should be a good score for Penn.
That was Tara Mills. She's a freshman from Red Bank, New Jersey. She was a 2-year captain at the Red Bank Catholic High School gymnastics team. And we just saw the Brown Bears finish up with their first bar routine. So that was Erin Howell.
Yeah, we just saw the dismount. She did take a few steps forward because of under rotation, but we'll see what the judges give her.
Now this is Ella Anderson, a senior on Yale's gymnastics team, starting her beam performance.
Yeah, Ella is a very strong competitor on the beam. She is a very, very flexible gymnast, a very strong one as well. And you can see that in her routine, especially on the beam. Ella also has a lot of experience because she has been competing all 4 years on beam.
Ella's personal best on the beam is a 9.825, which is the highest of all of her personal bests. So her strength really is the beam.
We just saw her falling on her series. The nerves might be getting to her. It is her last Ivy League, and she's also the first gymnast on the beam for Yale. But hopefully the other girls will perform without any falls, so they won't have to count any falls.
Now, Mitzi, how frequently do athletes fall on the beam? Is it a pretty common thing that happens on the collegiate level?
It really depends on the girl. Usually there's a lot of competition to get a spot in the lineup. So you have girls that are very confident and usually are very safe on the beam. But nerves can get to you sometimes. So it really depends on the girl. It really depends on the meet.
Cornell is now on floor. We're looking at Joy Gage. She's a junior from St. Louis, Missouri. Joy, as a sophomore, captured her first USAG Collegiate All-American honor with a first-team finish on beam. She placed 13th at the championship meet.
That is very good. And now we're going to see her on floor. It seems like she is a very powerful gymnast, and we're going to see her tumbling. Hopefully hard tumbling.
Now, what is she waiting for here? Just the judges okay?
Yeah, exactly. The judges, it seems like the judges are having some trouble with the previous gymnast score.
So that was just a Penn athlete.
Yeah.
How was that routine, Mitzi?
She performed a Yurchenko layout. Again, it doesn't start from a 10.0, only from a 9.7. She was a little bit piked, but it wasn't like a bad vault. It'll be an okay score for the Penn gymnast. And I think the judges gave the score for the previous gymnast, and now she's ready to go. she is preparing for her first tumbling pass. It's a front handspring 1.5, hard tumbling, but she did it very easily. Now she's doing her leap series, which is a requirement for the floor exercise. And we can see her fun dancing, which you can do when you are in college. Usually you are able to express yourself even more than in club gymnastics. You smile more, you choose very fun music, and we can see that in her routine. And now she did a front handspring, front full to a front layout. One of those connections that you need to get bonus. And like we said, she's a very powerful gymnast, so she makes it look very easy.
It looks like she's having a lot of fun out there with this routine.
Yeah, exactly. You can see her smile throughout the routine. And now she's doing her last pass, which was a random whip to a 1.5. And this is a good routine for Cornell. Very nice routine. You can see the excitement.
One of the Penn athletes just had a really great vault performance.
Yeah, and it seems like Penn is done on vault now. Now we are on beam, seeing Casey Trina and her dismount. Very nice dismount. And now we see Tatiana Winkelman preparing to go on the beam. And also Cornell getting ready on the floor. And we see her start her routine with a double pike, very powerful tumbling, hard skills.
This is Jessica O'Brien. She's a junior from Boulder, Colorado. Jessica saw her first varsity competition at Cortland, scoring a career best of 9.625 on beam. So she competed last year in 4 meets on beam and only 1 on floor. So this is a little bit out of Jessica's comfort zone, but she's doing a great job here.
Yeah, exactly. We can see her confidence in every tumbling pass. And also how much she's enjoying her routine throughout her dance. Now she's preparing for her last tumbling pass. She did a front handspring 1.5. She was missing a little bit on that turn, but overall it was a very good routine. That should be a good score for Cornell. Now we are seeing Tatiana being done with her routine on beam, and we move to bars with Brown. We just saw a very hard combination, a Jaeger, which is a release move connected to an overshoot. which is a change from the high bar to the low bar. And now she did a giant full connected to a double tuck and a stock landing. That was a very, very good routine for Brown. She had those connections that will give her bonus, and also hard skills that make her routine score very high.
That was Anya Olsen Jr. She did not compete last year, actually, due to injuries, but she did earn ECAC All-Academic Team and USAGA Scholar Athlete Honors last year. So it looks like she's back in action after a year of being injured.
Yeah, and she's back and strong. And now we prepare to see Yale on the beam. This is Kiara Aline. Very strong competitor for Yale on the beam and on the floor.
Kiara's from Houston, Texas. She is a sophomore. Her personal best on the beam is a 9.625. Oh.
It seems like Yale is having a rough time in the beam today.
Yeah.
Some falls and a lot of big wobbles. Hopefully they'll do better on the floor. That was a very nice skill, a side aerial with no wobbles. And now she's doing her leap series. Some wobbles for Yale gymnasts on the beam today. The full turn, no wobbles again. And more leap series, but it does seem like she's a little bit nervous up there. Her dismount, stop landing, but she seems a little bit disappointed with the fall and overall with the performance. But it happens, it's Ivy Leagues, and the pressure is there.
Now we're back to floor with Cornell. This is Alana Malatsky. She's a senior. As a junior, she was the Big Red's most consistent competitors, both on bars and floor. So I think we can expect a pretty strong performance from Alana today. She's stretching, getting ready for her routine.
Yeah, just waiting for the judges to give the previous score so they can give her the go. And she's ready. We can see again that very popular music with the dancing. And powerful tumbling. She started with a double tuck. And very well done. These girls make these tumbling passes look easy, but in reality they are very, very hard.
Now, why did she have the mat there for the landing of that last tumbling set?
Yeah, in collegiate gymnastics you are allowed to put a mat, mostly for injuries, to prevent injuries or in case you're already injured. As we get older, the body cannot handle the landings anymore, so in order to not perpetuate more injuries, they are allowed to put a mat. But for some gymnasts, it is harder to land on a mat, so they prefer to just go on the floor in terms of sticking the landing. That's really up to the gymnast or to the coaches. So a 1.5 punch front pike, one of those connections that you need for bonus. And very exciting dancing. She seems very pleased with her routine. It was very good and we can expect a high score for her.
Now we're looking at
Emma
Firmstone from Yale University. Emma's the last athlete on the lineup for the beam for Yale today.
Yeah, usually the last gymnasts have either the highest difficulty, are more confident, or are just expected to have higher scores. So we'll see what Emma does today.
Emma's just a freshman, but she's proven herself to be a strong performer for Yale.
Yeah, and we can see why. She seems very confident on the beam. We just saw her leap series, and now we're about to see her back series. It must be hard to be up there knowing that you need to stick your routine, but it seems like she has no problem with that. She is very confident and is performing really well for Yale.
Oh
no. We see another fall on Yale. She seems upset.
She seems very jarred by that.
Yeah, but hopefully she can put it together and finish her routine strong. And she does a really nice landing. Unfortunately, she did have a fall on the beam.
So Yale did have a pretty tough day today on the beam.
Yeah, but hopefully they will recover on the floor since bars and floor are their strongest events.
This is Cornell. This is Leanda Dudley. She's a sophomore for Big Red. Now, is that sort of movement painful, the bounce on the floor?
No, if you know how to land properly, then it shouldn't hurt. Learning that skill might having a little bit painful, but definitely not when she's performing it on her routine. And I think that concludes the rotation.
So that was the second rotation of the Ivy League Classic here today in New Haven, Connecticut. So far, Brown and Penn have performed on the vault, Yale and Brown on the uneven bars, Cornell and Yale on the balance beam, and UPenn and Cornell on the floor. We're about to go into a commercial break, but please stay tuned for the next two cycles of this classic.
What I don't know how many people realize is how successful and driven they are athletically and how competitive they are on the playing field.
Unbelievable ending.
And how much their sport means to them.
Princeton is going to the NCAA tournament.
We have national champions, we have Olympians, we have individuals that go on to professional athletic opportunities.
The Yale Bulldogs are national champions.
And so the athletics part of what our student athletes are involved in is important. And it is important to them in balance with their academics and their experience as a student.
For the 15th time in their program history and for the second consecutive year, they are your reigning national champions.
These are your Ivy League top 5 plays of the week. At number 5, women's basketball, and a fancy play from Dartmouth's Fanny Szabo. Watch her go behind the back and lay it in for 2. The sleight of hand from Szabo was not enough for the Big Green, as Cornell would go on to top Dartmouth and stay alive in the race for the Ivy League women's basketball tournament. At number 4, men's lacrosse. Brown opened the season with a 25-9 shellacking of Quinnipiac. Dylan Malloy and Jack Niffin were busy for the Bears. First, Niffin scores off an assist from Malloy, and then Niffin returns the favor, feeding Malloy for a goal. Malloy led the way with 4 goals and 4 assists, while Niffin pitched in with 6 goals and an assist. At number 3, men's basketball. An improbable comeback for Dartmouth versus Columbia. Down 4 with less than 20 seconds to go in overtime, the Big Green's Evan Boudreau hits a three-pointer to make it a one-point game. Then after 2 missed Columbia free throws, Taylor Johnson drives the length of the floor, somehow keeps his balance, and lays it in to give Dartmouth an 80-79 win. At number 2, men's hockey. Harvard earned its first Beanpot Championship in more than 20 years with a 6-3 win over Boston University in the final. The Crimson claimed their first 2-goal lead of the game early in the third period as captain Alexander Kerfoot poked in the rebound. Later in the week, Harvard would earn another trophy, beating Yale to clinch the Ivy League championship. At number 1, women's swimming. Yale's Bella Hindley anchored the Ivy League championship-clinching 400-meter freestyle win for the Bulldogs. Yale's title was its first since 1997. Harvard finished second at the championship meet, with Princeton taking third. For her efforts, Hindley was named the co-high point swimmer of the meet. That's it for this week's Top 5 Plays. Be sure to check out the Ivy League Digital Network for more live and on-demand content.
I think a common misconception is that we're just maybe a bunch of brainiacs or nerds, if you will.
We're not nerdy. We do have fun. We do have time off. Because nerdy means that you're only just stuck on your studies and you got nothing else going on. We got a lot going on. We're athletes, we're community activists, we're global activists, we're engineers, we're lawyers, we're doctors. We got so much going on.
You're with the smartest people in the country, and you're expected to stay on that level with them while competing at the highest level in your sport also.
But we're also good at sports.
We all had offers to some of the bigger time athletic programs, if you will.
We're really good athletes.
They're Olympic athletes and national champions at our schools.
Field hockey just won a national championship again.
Doing all these things that all these other schools are doing, but we also try to compete academically and give ourselves a chance to compete after athletics.
We're a force to be reckoned with, and I don't think you can look past us.
The Palestra, the cathedral of college basketball. A legendary conference and a historic event. Join us this March for the first ever Ivy League men's and women's basketball tournaments. Witness the ultimate back-to-back. March 11th and 12th.
Unbelievable ending.
At the Palestra.
You're going to be around people, great people from all different backgrounds that they're going to push you, both from a competitive nature and from a supportive nature.
Getting the little things done.
You hear these people that have gone off and started these companies or gone off and even if they're an engineer, they're working with kids down in Africa. Hearing all these things and such diverse stories, it's going to open so many doors, especially people that have gone there before. The network that's available is just amazing.
The Ivy League means extraordinary, a conference that stands alone as the purest form of student athlete, a conference focused to compete nationally and created to inspire globally. It's 8 schools combining Division I athletic excellence and academic prestige, and a community of greatness that inspires lifelong connections and successful leaders of tomorrow. Why not be extraordinary? It's the Ivy League.
We're back here live at the John J. Lee Amphitheater in New Haven, Connecticut. Right now you are watching the Gymnastics Ivy League Classic of 2017. The Yale Bulldogs are hosting the Brown Bears, the UPenn Quakers, and Cornell Big Red. Right now, Brown has the lead with a score of 96.800, followed by Cornell with a score of 96.625, then Penn with a score of 96.100, and finally Yale with a score of 95.775. You know, what we've seen so far in this meet with the first 2 rotations is Yale go from first to last. So it is a competitive meet today. Each team is showing their strengths and their weaknesses, and it's mixing up the scoreboard a bit.
Yeah, exactly. We get, like we said, it's going to be a very, very exciting meet, very close and very competitive.
Right now we're looking at Cornell beginning their cycle on the vaults. That was Kelsey Herfest.
Yeah, she performed a Yurchenko full top. She had a little bit of a step at the end due to over rotation, but overall it was a high and very well executed vault.
It's an Yale athlete.
Yeah.
And there is Pens.
And this is Brown on the beam. We just saw her falling on a leap jump, switch full.
That was Claire. That's Claire Ryan.
And we see her preparing for her dismount now. A random 1.5 step forward, but
Claire's a junior from Greenwood, Minnesota. She competed in 10 meets last year, primarily on bars and beams, so it's unfortunate that she fell there. It seems to be her strength in the past.
Yeah.
This is Cornell's
on the vault. We saw Yurchenko halfway out. That vault also starts from a 10.0. She had a pretty good landing. And now we are on floor with Yale. This is Sloane Smith.
Sloane is a junior at Yale and has been a strong competitor for Yale for the past 3 years. Her personal best on floor is a 9.725, so maybe today is the day that she beats that personal best.
Yeah, and we're seeing a very powerful tumbling, also very powerful routine with the dancing and the music. And she is preparing for her last pass. And she does a 1.5 punch front pike. That was a very good routine. You can see everyone getting excited.
Good job, Sloane.
It was a very well performance after what happened on the beam with Yale.
Now here's a Penn Quaker getting ready for her uneven bar routine.
And she starts her routine with a Jaeger connected to an overshoot, a release move connected to a change from the high bar to the low bar. She's not hitting the handstands, but overall she had a good routine, a little bit of under rotation on her dismount, which caused a few steps forward, but high difficulty, high connections, difficult connections that will give her bonus.
This is Cornell's. Athlete about to begin her vault routine. This is Macy Prescott. Macy's a freshman from Chester, Vermont. Prior to Cornell, she won the level 10 state title on floor, vault, bars, and beam while competing for her high school club. Oh.
We see front handspring front tuck with a lot of over rotation. And now we see Ella Anderson on the floor.
It was a pretty good tumble, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a front full punch front pike. And we see her preparing for her third pass. And she does a 1.5 connected to a straddle jump. Those connections will give her bonus. And it seemed like a good routine for Ella. We didn't see the first pass, but the last two passes seemed pretty good.
Ella was the second Yale athlete to do floor. Now we're on beam. This is Brown athlete Julia Green.
And we see the Yale Browns being strong on the beam. This will help them keep the lead that they have right now.
Julia is a sophomore, but did not compete in any meets last year as a freshman. She just stepped off there.
Yeah, unfortunately. She was doing a pretty good routine, and let's see if she can regain her focus and finish this routine strong. Seems like she's a little bit nervous now.
Now, how hard is it to really regain your confidence after a step off the beam?
It depends on the girl, as usual. She did a pretty hard dismount, though. It seemed like she did regain her confidence, though. It usually also depends on the team. If the team is doing really well, then you have that motivation to also do well, even if you fall. So I think that's what happened on the beam. And we just saw Cornell and Ball doing a Yurchenko full.
That was Malia Mackey.
Yeah, that ball actually starts from a 10.0, so that should be a high score for Cornell.
Malia is a sophomore from Washington. Last year as a freshman, she earned first team USAG Collegiate All-American honors on both beam and vault. Now we're looking at University of Pennsylvania.
On the bars, yeah.
We
are seeing a pretty high difficulty routine with the release moves and the straddle back. And now we see her preparing for her dismount. A double layout, over rotation with a step back, but overall a very good routine for Penn. And now we are back on floor with the Yale Bulldogs.
This is Rebecca Chong, the third athlete of Yale to be competing on floor today. Rebecca is a freshman.
Yeah, we saw very powerful tumbling and also her leaps. A lot of connections there that will build her bonus. And now preparing for her other tumbling pass. And she does a double top, excellent landing. It seems like the Yale Bulldogs are coming back strong on the floor. That was a very good routine for Rebecca.
Rebecca's from Warrenton, Virginia. Now we're looking at Pennsylvania Quaker.
On the bars, yeah. She's ready to start her routine. And we're seeing a giant full connected to a ginger, which is a release move. A little bit of arch in that handstand and the back salto to go from the high bar to the low bar. And now she's back on the high bar preparing for her dismount now. A giant full to a double top, a step back, but overall really good routine.
Now we're back to the Brown Bears on the balance beam. This is Caroline Moran.
She's just waiting for the go from the judges.
Caroline is a senior. Her career high on the beam is a 9.825.
Seems like she's ready to go now.
Caroline is one of the Brown Bears senior captains for the gymnastics team.
You can see that her routine is very elegant. You have to do that on the beam. It's not all about the tumbling, it's also about the dancing. But her skills are also very well executed. She just did her back series, no problem. And now she steps off the beam. It seems like it's a tough day for the beam today.
Yeah. The first team to compete on beam was Cornell.
Yeah, they actually had a very good performance, but Yale had a lot of trouble, and it seems like Brown is having some trouble as well. Not as many falls as Yale, but definitely struggling too. Nice dismount though, nice landing. You can see she's a little bit disappointed with that fall.
Right. One thing to keep in mind is that they do drop the lowest score. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So one fall won't affect the team score. But then several falls would definitely affect it, which is what happened to Yale. Went from first place to last place due to so many falls on the beam.
Jade Buford of Yale is getting ready for her floor performance. You can see the two athletes are talking, getting ready.
Yeah, usually the girls who are not competing on that event come and give you that strength that you might need, the motivation. Motivational talk before you go.
Jade looks like she's very much focused for this performance.
Yeah, they need to perform really well.
So last year, Brown and Cornell tied for the title team win with a score of 93.325. And Yale was behind that, placing second, edging out Penn by a small number of points. Here goes Jade.
And we see a double back, excellent landing. You can see her strong performance. She is very powerful and explosive on the floor. And also that dramatic music.
Jade's actually one of the few athletes today who has not chosen a pop culture song for her routine music. A much more classical choice.
Yeah, exactly. But we can see that they had fun with their routine though.
Jade, as a freshman, is Yale's only all-around athlete. She's extremely talented and today has shown a strong performance so far in her events.
Yeah, exactly. And we're seeing it on the floor as well. She's preparing for her tumbling pass. And she does a 1.5 to split jump. And that was a very good routine for the Yale Bulldogs. We are seeing a recap of her last tumbling pass and the end of her routine. And now we're waiting for the last Yale gymnast to compete.
Kiara Allen.
Yes. I believe she is the last athlete in this rotation.
Right. Kiara is a sophomore from Houston, Texas. Her personal best on the floor, very high score, is a 9.850. Kiara is the only athlete competing at this very moment all other athletes have finished up the rotation. Kiara's chosen quite an upbeat song, so setting the tone for an upbeat performance. And that was great.
That was a great tumbling pass, a double tuck with great landing. And also great music and dancing. Seems like she is having fun.
Yeah,
and also
definitely.
performing a really high difficulty skills. We just saw a layout, front layout to a front full. And it seems like we're back to that popular music. It seems like she is really enjoying this routine. And the crowd is enjoying it too. She's preparing for her last pass. And she does a double pike. A little bit of a low landing, but it was a really good routine. This was a great way for Yale to close the rotation. Much better rotation than the previous one.
Right, as we said, beam has been a difficult event for at least Yale and Brown today. Cornell had a pretty strong opening performance on beam, but both Yale and Brown really struggled with the beam today.
Yeah.
Now we're looking at just some replays from this past hour's performances by these athletes doing incredible things. We're going to cut to a commercial break, but stay tuned for the final rotation and the ultimate winner of the Ivy League Classic.
Just stepping on campus that first day and being with the team and feeling like I know these people and we're best friends, even though I'd only been with them for maybe 5 minutes. That was such an incredible feeling.
I think every day you wake up, I'll look out on campus in the middle of College Walk and say, yeah, you know what, this was the right choice.
I think that was probably after freshman year.
But once you get through those first couple weeks and you realize what an amazing place and what amazing opportunities you have here.
And experiencing season and postseason and in the spring, I think you just get that moment to breathe and you realize you have all those experiences and now you can move forward.
And I felt at home. So that feeling where I could relax and say, this is where I'm meant to be.
I wouldn't trade this for anything. So as tough as it can be in the moment, you know the entire time that it's going to pay off in the long run.
You're going to be around people, great people from all different backgrounds that they're going to push you, both from a competitive nature and from a supportive nature.
Getting the little things done.
You hear these people that have gone off and started these companies or gone off and even if they're an engineer, they're working with kids down in Africa. Hearing all these things and such diverse stories, it's going to open so many doors, especially people that have gone there before. The network that's available is just amazing.
But I think anytime that you get a culture full of, those types of ambitious individuals, championships do ensue.
You can do that here, and at the same time, you can get the best education possible, and you can set yourself up for the rest of your life.
There really is the standard for all others.
The Palestra, the cathedral of college basketball, a legendary conference and a historic event. Join us this March for the first ever Ivy League men's and women's basketball tournaments. Witness the ultimate back-to-back. March 11th and 12th
Unbelievable ending.
at the Palestra.
What I don't know how many people realize is how successful and driven they are athletically and how competitive they are on the playing field.
Unbelievable ending. It's Auburn.
and how much their sport means to them.
Princeton is going to the NCAA tournament.
We have national champions, we have Olympians, we have individuals that go on to professional athletic opportunities.
The Yale Bulldogs are national champions.
And so the athletics part of what our student athletes are involved in is important. And it is important to them in balance with their academics and their experience as a student.
For the 15th time in their program history and for the second consecutive year, they are your reigning national champions.
The Ivy League means extraordinary, a conference that stands alone as the purest form of student athlete. A conference focused to compete nationally and created to inspire globally. It's 8 schools combining Division I athletic excellence and academic prestige, and a community of greatness that inspires lifelong connections and successful leaders of tomorrow. Why not be extraordinary? It's the Ivy League.
What I don't know how many people realize is how successful and driven they are athletically and how competitive they are on the playing field.
Unbelievable ending.
And how much their sport means to them.
Princeton is going to the NCAA tournament.
We have national champions, we have Olympians, we have individuals that go on to professional athletic opportunities.
The Yale Bulldogs are national champions.
And so the athletics part of what our student athletes are involved in is important. And it is important to them in balance with their academics and their experience as a student.
For the 15th time in their program history and for the second consecutive year, they are your reigning national champions.
And welcome back. We're here live at the Ivy League Classic for gymnastics. Today in New Haven, Connecticut at the John J. Lee Amphitheater, the Yale Bulldogs are hosting UPenn, Brown, and Cornell. Right now, Cornell is in first place with a score of 144.825, followed by Penn with a score of 144.325, followed by Yale with a score of 144.300, and then finally Brown with a score of 144.125. It's been a really interesting day here. All 3 rotations have really mixed the rankings up. Yale began right after bars in first place, but then was knocked down to last place after the beam. And similarly, Brown was in first place last rotation, and after the beam now they are in last place. So we will see what happens after this final rotation. In this final rotation, Yale will be competing in vault. Cornell will be competing on the uneven bars. Pennsylvania will be competing on the balance beam. And finally, Brown will be competing on the floor. The beam has proven to be a challenging event for many athletes today. So we'll see how Penn handles the beam.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like Cornell was the only team so far to do pretty well on the beam. So we'll see how Penn does, because right now it seems like that's going to be the decision maker. And we're seeing Brown on the floor.
This is Morgan Hagenbo.
We saw some interesting tumbling pass.
Morgan is a sophomore. She's from Norwich, New York. Last year, she competed in 7 meets. She scored season highs of 9.550 on the vault, 9.500 on the beam, and 9.575 on the floor. So floor really is her strength based on last year's performance. Last year, Morgan also earned ECAC All Academic Team honors, so she is a well-rounded student athlete. How do you think her passes are going right now, Mitzi?
They're going really well. She just did her last pass, a front 1.5, a little bit short on the landing, but overall it was a good routine. I think she performed really well, and it's a good way to start the floor for Brown. And that is a Yale gymnast, Emma
Firmstone.
Yes. She performed a Yurchenko layout. That vault does not start from a 10.0, it starts from a 9.7, and she was short on the landing.
Emma's a freshman from Homestead, Pennsylvania. You can see the other athletes on Yale's squad getting ready. This is Anna Jennings. Anna's also a freshman. She's from Indianapolis. Here Anna goes.
And she does a Yurchenko full. That was very well executed. A little bit back at the end, but we can see how excited her teammates are. That vault actually started from a 10.0, and she did a really, really good job. That will help Yale move up.
Now we're looking at UPenn on the beam. This is Ali Podsnick.
We'll see how the nerves are going to treat her today, or how she handles them.
Ali's a junior. Her personal best on the beam is a 9.725. Last year, she competed in all 10 meets that UPenn competed at on the vault and the beam. So she is a seasoned athlete on the beam.
Yeah, very strong. We saw her series, no wobble. She seems very confident today. This will help UPenn on the beam because so far the beam has been proven to be a little bit hard, but she had no problem with her routine. We saw her dismount a run of 1.5, a little hop at the end, but overall a really good routine. That's what Penn needed. Strong competitor to start the rotation.
Now this is Jade Buford of Yale. She's a freshman. Yale's all-around very talented athlete, very strong athlete. Jade is getting ready for her vault performance.
Yeah, she actually has a different vault that not a lot of gymnasts do. It's a front vault, and we see a front handspring from bike, a little bit of over rotation with a step forward, but overall a really good vault. We can see everyone is excited on her team.
Jade definitely keeps a poker face when competing. She doesn't show too much emotions, whether it was an incredible performance or a subpar. Jade is pretty cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, well, she is a freshman and coming from club gymnastics, and that's usually what happens in club gymnastics. You can't really show your emotions. So we'll see how the years change that from her, or maybe that's just her personality.
This is Cornell on the uneven bars.
Just getting ready to get the go from the judges. And she starts her routine with a release move, a Tkachev, which is a release move over the bar. Oh no, she does a straddle back and falls on the event. She didn't let go of the bar, but that still counts as a fall for the judges, which will deduct half a point.
That was Alana Malatsky.
Yeah.
She's a senior at Cornell.
And that double layout dismount was a little bit under-rotated, which caused her to...
She's traditionally an extremely consistent competitor for Cornell, so...
Yep.
Now this is
Rebecca
Chong, freshman at Yale. That's Yale's last athlete competing on the vault, so this rotation really went by quite quickly.
Yeah, she performed a Yurchenko half. She had a lot of over-rotation though, so she took a big step forward. But overall, it should be a good score for Yale. They're actually done with the meet. And that was Ivy Classics for them.
Yeah, they're done. UPenn, on the other hand, still has some more competing to be done. This is Caroline Moore, a sophomore, about to begin her routine on the beam. Caroline's personal best on the beam is a 9.850. That was last year, March 19th. Last year she competed in 5 meets on the vault and 1 on the beam. She made her collegiate debut at Rutgers, scoring a 9.525 on the vault. So the beam might be a little out of her comfort zone. It really seems that the vault is where she shines, but she's definitely a growing athlete as a sophomore, and this could be a strong performance for her. Now we just saw one of Brown's competitors, was Julia Green, on the floor. She seems very pleased with that performance.
Yeah, that was a very nice routine. She had good tumbling and good leaps.
Here's Caroline Moore. She's still getting ready for her beam performance.
We're seeing that on the beam, the judges are having some trouble with the scores, which is why the gymnast has not been given the go yet. Maybe they're checking some of the requirements or some of the deductions.
She's getting ready to mount the beam. Now, does this weight sometimes create the possibility of psyching the athletes out who are about to compete?
Yeah, usually, not all the time, but usually you are ready to go. I'm like having a lot of time to think about your routine and your skills. Might make you more nervous. It might help you, but usually just makes you more nervous because you're ready to go. You're not used to waiting this long. But it seems like the judges are giving her the go and she's ready to start now.
Again, this is Caroline Moore, sophomore at University of Pennsylvania.
And she's ready to start her routine with her back series. Up against the layout. Penn is actually doing really well on the beam today. She seems confident with her routine. And is also showing a lot of difficulty in her skills. She has had a smooth routine, hasn't really wobbled yet, and it seems like she might be getting ready for her this mount now. And she does. That was an excellent routine for UPenn. That is exactly what they need. and they have actually been doing really well on the beam. If they keep it up, they might move on in those stands.
That was a replay of Cornell's performance
On the
just a couple
bars, yeah.
minutes ago on the uneven bars. They were very happy with it. That was their final athlete,
Yeah.
Caitlin Green. Now this is Brown on floor. This is Anya Olsen. She's a junior at Brown. She's their second to last competitor today on floor. Olsen did not compete last year due to injury, but evidently she's back and ready to go for this year's competition.
We saw a free handspring double full, which is a pretty high difficulty skill. Not a lot of gymnasts do it. They usually stick with the 1.5, which is also an easier landing. Now she's preparing for her second tumbling pass. And we are seeing those connections that will give you bonus to start from a 10.0. And she also has one of those more dramatic and classical music, not so much a pop song, but it fits her well and she's doing a great routine. And now we see the free handspring 1.5 connected to a jump. That was a great routine for Brown.
Now we're back looking at UPenn on the beam. This is Nicole Swirlballis.
And she does her dismount. A random double full. That was a very good dismount.
They have UPenn has one more competitor for the beam. That would be Rachel Graham. She's coming up next. This is Caroline Morant, Brown Bear captain, final competitor on the floor for the Brown Bears.
And she is ready to go. And we see her first tumbling pass is a double 5 and an excellent landing.
Caroline is a very strong competitor for the Bears. Earlier this season, the Yale Bulldogs hosted the Brown Bears for a meet, and Caroline had a strong performance there. She's a consistent competitor for them.
Yeah, and we can see it today as well. Her 2 tumbling passes having very powerful and well executed, very nice landings. And her leaps are also very nice. And she is preparing for her very last tumbling pass. And she does a free handspring 1.5. She seems very happy with her routine, and that was the last performance for Brown. That was a great way to close the meet.
We're done with the Ivy Classic.
And now the suspense last competitor.
This is Rachel Graham. Rachel is a senior.
And that was a very good dismount.
She was a captain for the 2016 season, and she just had a great performance on the beam. With her personal best is 9.850. This performance may have beaten that.
Yeah, her teammates look very excited and happy about it, so maybe. And I think that concludes the meet.
We'll see what the scoreboard says. You know, it's really hard to say at this point. Each team had different strengths and weaknesses. However, you know, across the board, this final rotation was pretty strong for all 4 teams.
Yeah, exactly. Now we just gotta wait for the scores to come in.
To reiterate, after this final rotation, Cornell was in first place, followed by Penn, then Yale, then Brown. The range being 144.825 as the top scoring team, Cornell, and the lowest scoring team, Brown, 144.125. A fairly tight spread.
Yeah, exactly. Not even a point difference. So anything can happen after this last rotation. It seemed like Cornell had a strong VAR rotation, so they might still be in first place. But between Penn, Yale, and Brown, we still don't know until we get all the scores in.
Everybody, please take out your raffle tickets. The winning ticket will go to the bargaining table. The ticket number is.
And it seems like.
8193.
Wow.
8193.
So Cornell just won the Ivy Classic. You can see the happiness for those athletes. The final scores of the Ivy League Classic are Cornell in first place with 193.325. Congratulations, Cornell. Followed by Yale in second place with 192.872. Followed by Penn with a score of 192.825. And then Brown with a score of 192.400.
Yeah, actually Yale and Penn were so close. This was a very close meet.
It was a close meet. Yale last year got second as well, but the first place was a tie. So in some sense it is an improvement.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And Cornell actually tied last year for first place, so they are victors again.
Yes. Congratulations, Cornell, and to all the athletes that competed today. Thank you for tuning in to the Ivy League Digital Network. I'm Lydia Keating here with Mitzi Unda, and we hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful afternoon.